The girl attended her mother's funeral only to discover in horror that her own name was engraved on the tombstone. She instantly sensed something was terribly wrong. She realized she didn't recognize any of the mourners present, and all of them were staring intently at her. Terrified, she turned around and accidentally bumped into a strange woman. This woman seemed familiar, yet she couldn't place her for the life of her. Soon the funeral service was about to begin. Her father said he needed to buy a bouquet of flowers. After handing her an umbrella, he walked straight to the nearby florist. Soon the tombstone arrived. The crane's windshield was shattered, as if it had just been hit. The driver lit a cigarette and turned on the music. Strangely, though it seemed 100 meters away, the music sounded as clear as if it were right beside her ear. Suddenly, the driver's cigarette butt fell onto his hand. The pain made him jerk his grip off the controls. The crane instantly spun out of control. The falling tombstone struck the girl directly. By the time her father emerged from the flower shop, his daughter lay already in a pool of blood. In her final moments, the girl glanced at her watch, 4:45. Yet the next second, she suddenly awoke in the car. Seeing her mother's urn in her hands, she thought it had been a dream. But when she stepped out, she discovered the scene before her was identical to the dream. That group of people still stared fixedly at her. Her father repeated the same words. He was going to buy some flowers. The girl was utterly dumbfounded. Seeing the crane slowly approaching, she backed away in fear, only to bump into that strange woman again. She hurriedly dropped her umbrella and ran toward her father, watching his incoherent daughter. The father thought she was just exhausted lately. Just then, the florist said, "Would you like a bouquet for your daughter too? Are you cursing my daughter to death?" Enraged, the father tossed the flowers aside and turned to leave. The florist refused to let him go. Terrified, the girl stumbled backward. Suddenly, a phone nearby rang. That same familiar melody. The screen was shattered. Before she could react, the florist lunged at her. Scissors plunged precisely into her chest. The time was exactly 4:45. The girl died again. The next second, she jolted awake in the car. She scrambled out, hurriedly recounting the earlier incident to her father, but he refused to believe her, instead scolding her for being disrespectful at her mother's funeral. His words crushed her with guilt. She stopped explaining. Instead, she suggested they buy flowers together, reminding him not to confront the florist. He agreed. Strangely, this time he insisted on buying 2 bouquets. Did he know she would die too? Terrified, the girl stumbled backward. Just then, disaster struck again. The pressure cooker exploded violently. The lid flew straight toward her. Fortunately, she dodged it just in time. She scrambled out only to bump into that woman once more. Her father followed her out. The girl frantically demanded why he bought 2 bouquets, but her father, expressionless, tackled her to the ground. It turned out there was an exposed wire in the puddle behind them. Her father had been saving her. Suddenly, familiar music blared from the car speakers. The girl glanced at her watch. It was 4:45 again. Was she going to die once more? The flower shop owner uttered a cryptic remark that somehow persuaded her father to back off. He could only watch helplessly as his daughter died. Soon, the girl awoke in the car for the 3rd time. Her father urged her to get out quickly, saying time was running out. The girl glanced at her watch. 8 minutes remained until her death. She got out and confronted her father. "Do you know something? Is it that I die every time it hits 4:45? Only to come back to life?" Her father told her to stop talking nonsense. To prove she wasn't lying, she deliberately stood beneath the crane, waiting for the tombstone to crush her. She closed her eyes, but after waiting for ages, nothing happened. When she opened them, she saw the tombstone had already landed gently. Just as she was puzzling over this, she noticed her own name carved on her mother's tombstone. The girl pushed her father away. The receipt in his hand had transformed into a do not resuscitate agreement. The strange woman appeared again. The girl desperately tried to escape. She ran to the car, ready to drive away, but the windshield wipers suddenly activated. She seemed to recall something. How? Every time she neared death, shadows flickered across her father's glasses. These shadows swayed like wipers. In an instant, everything came flooding back. That day, she'd driven out with her mother. The car fogged up in the rain. In a moment of distraction, her mother died instantly. The cross in the car pierced her chest. Rescue workers carried her into the ambulance. She glanced at her watch, 4:45 p.m. Now the truth was clear. Everything she had seen before was a near-death hallucination, because she saw her mother's body. Her hallucination became attending her mother's funeral. The rescue workers became cemetery staff. The crowd turned into expressionless mourners, and the woman who appeared repeatedly in the cemetery was that passerby. The florist's shop was decorated in blue and white, the exact colors of the ambulance. At the moment of the crash, the girl had been listening to music, the very same melody she heard in her hallucination. Realizing all this, she checked the time again. It was frozen at 4:45. She walked back toward the florist's shop and overheard the shop owner speaking with her father. Confused, she pushed open the door. A blinding white light flooded her vision. When the light faded, she realized the florist was actually a hospital doctor, persuading her father to abandon life support. The girl cried, begging her father not to give up on her. But in reality, he didn't hear her and signed the consent form. Just as the doctor prepared to turn off the life support, the girl's hand twitched. She opened her eyes, looking at her father with tears of relief. Just as she thought she had awakened from the dream, she saw the clock on the wall quickly approaching 4:45.